Why do you keep shaking hands with liars?
And what you allow to come in your mind controls your fucking heart. A man's word right now doesn't mean shit. Imagine if you just have that in your life. You have the truth and you have honor. That everything that comes out of your fucking mouth, you do it. That you do the shit that you said you're gonna do.
Hello and welcome back to the Warrior Week podcast. I am your host, Coach Max. This is our coach, Coach Sam. How you doing today, Coach?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Very good, very good. Coach, today I wanted to actually talk about kind of a concept we were talking about the other day about shaking hands with liars and how detrimental that is to an individual's growth and their ability to truly move away from lying and then kind of find themselves inside of the truth and staying inside the truth. And my question to you is, you know, when is it okay to shake hands? Because as a coach, like I want to shake hands with a liar to show them the truth and then hope they stand inside the truth. But at the same time, there's only so many times I want to fucking put my hand on their hand.
Yeah, good point. Well, number one, just to establish the frame on this conversation, we're all fucking liars.
Fact.
So we're going around liars shaking hands of another liars. And I mean, and if you're sitting there and you're hearing this and it triggers you, or that you have an opinion that is not true, then I encourage you to investigate the meaning of what does it mean that we're all liars. We have addressed that in multiple other shows. We will continue to address it. We won't just do it now. So you can, if you're triggered, you should research that on your own. But ultimately, it comes down to, hey, not only we're all liars shaking another liar's hand, but some of us are just beggars shaking another beggar's hand. And what I mean by that is I'm just an honest guy shaking and hoping to shake the hand of another honest guy, begging for another man not to lie and be honest. So I'm a beggar shaking another beggar's hand, meaning I beg you not to lie, because this thing called lying just keeps pulling us down. So obviously this comes down to the fundamental and the origins of the sin that took place when man, the fall of the man, and the fact that we are a species that will never cease lying, but has an opportunity every day to turn his way to the truth, to turn its way to God, to return to God. And that is an opportunity that's given to us by an unchangeable God, because we continuously change. He doesn't. And the idea is very simple, is that he doesn't, his nature never changes, but his action changes all the time, meaning that he may feel angry, or he may decide to pour some wrath or not, or maybe withdraw. His action changes all the time. His nature doesn't change. And ultimately, what he does is that he changes us all the time, or he changes the situation all the time. And so time has nothing against God, meaning time will not change God, but time will reveal us in relations to him. So having established that, shaking hands with liars. Recently I came across a podcast, and the guy said, the more hands you shake, the bigger your business grows. Now, I'm not going to punch the guy in the face, because he probably had a context inside of what he said that. So it's not really about the guy, but it is about that statement.
Yes.
And when we look at that statement, there's a problem with that statement, because if you're willing to shake anybody's hand to grow your business, you're in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're in big trouble.
You're in big trouble. You're in trouble with the law. You're in trouble with the laws of business. You're in trouble with the laws of morality. You're in trouble with the laws of the man upstairs. You're in trouble if you're willing to shake hands for the purpose of your business with just anybody. So this idea of the more hands you shake, the bigger your business goes is pure fucking bullshit.
It's actually really scary because I immediately want to go to the concept of, well, if I get money, then my business grows. But then do I know who I'm in bed with? Do I know who I'm actually trying to say, hey, let's do a business deal together? And what am I okay with, like integrity wise? Like, okay, hey, this guy is actually using illegal immigrants, or this guy is actually cutting corners, and I'm going to be okay with that. And in my integrity, I'm not. But if I allow it to happen just a little bit, that gravity of the situation is going to pull me further and further down into it. So the ability to say no, the ability not to shake the hand, but the confidence to be okay with that, even in a scarcity moment in your business, has got to be tough.
It's crazy. Think about what is happening. Because we had a problem with man shaking hand, we've moved away from that. And now it's corporation shaking hand with corporation. So the responsibility now and the blame is not put on one individual. Neither the decision is put on one individual, but it's put on a group of people, board members or whatever organization of directors that represent that entity. There's a lot of fucking abuse in that structure as well, because there's a lot of people that could represent the entity, but it just end up being individualism. It just end up being one person playing the multiple role, the janitor, the CEO, the CFO, and the COO, and signed by 4 different persons, yet one fucking human being. And the lies is where it's the camouflage is happening. But you look at the nature of corporate to corporate, you learn, then you start asking yourself, well, what are the missions? What are the cultures of this company? And that's why all these things are, at the end of the day, to give confidence that if we shake hand with you, then we are in integrity. Then there's lawyers, and there is the laws of the business that is protected. There is federal regulation, and there is compliances that are respected. There is perhaps, to some extent, the law of humanity and morality that is respected, and in many cases is not respected. You can think about pharmaceutical company, you can think about insurance company, you can talk about tobacco company, you can talk about whatever fucking company that you know that doesn't have the human moralities as part of the bylaws of their culture, but yet they represent an organization that by federal law or by business law is actually legit. And then ultimately there is the most important law that is forgotten, which is the law of God. Yeah. And sadly that comes last in today's transaction for corporation and for individual. I'm not saying everybody, but the fucking majority.
Yeah, it goes back to, and if you think that this only applies to your business, this applies to your being and your connection to your wife too, because you got to sometimes be careful of who you bring into your house, right? Or who you have around you. And it's easy to be influenced by another man, or even by somebody else to pull you into an environment that you don't want to be in. Like, it's easy. Like if you're at business at work and you want to make this deal, and suddenly this guy takes you to a strip club, like, you got to be able to say, no, I'm not fucking going. But it's a difficult concept to have, and a difficult conversation to have as well.
Yeah, because you got something to gain from it by going. And it's not necessarily some tits and ass in the club, but you put yourself in an environment that is morally not okay for you for the sake of signing a deal. And that's really a problem of character. Truly, if your character is not forged, then you should not be running a business. You should not be running sales. It takes strong people to be in front of the front line. So if you're not a frontline kind of guy, don't, and you don't want to, if you don't want to fucking go to war with your standards, then don't be in the fucking front line, because you're a fucking liar. Don't be the sales guy that's going to go to a strip club. Don't be the sales guy that's going to, abuse company's credit card and have integrity saying, yeah, everything is fine. It's not. You're not a frontline kind of guy, man. You're not a guy that represents standards and morals, or maybe you are according to yourself. And that's where I'm talking about, where the laws of business oversees everything nowadays. So this idea of shaking hands is based on the laws of business, and it shouldn't. It should be, number one laws should be the laws of God, and those laws apply to me as the shaker. So, and how does those laws apply to me? Well, I haven't worked on my character, then I'm a weak shaker. I'll shake anybody's fucking hand because I don't have a character, because I don't have the laws of God that govern my character. I have the laws of man that govern my character, and we can all protest to that. And how many times the laws of man has taken advantage of us in different situations. Secondly, you brought a very important point. Here's the rules of the fucking game. There shouldn't be any other man that should spend as much as time as you or more time with your wife. So if your best friend is spending as much as time as you and as more with your wife, there's a fucking problem. He's going to fuck her. It's a matter of time, guaranteed. So if some other guy is spending more time with your wife or equal amount of time that yourself, whoever that guy may be, there is a problem. And there's a hand that is being shaken, but there's a hand of a liar that you've shaken on that. So yeah, it's the business, but it's also your possession when it comes to resources. And resources are what? Resources are money and pussy when it comes to men. There is no other resources that a man would fight for. This is pretty raw, but it's the bottom fucking line.
It's real. It's real. I mean, that same thing goes for, it's like shame on you for not being there and having that resource and taking care of that resource too. So if you're splitting that time 50-50 with another man, shame on you for not being there. Shame on you for allowing that to be there and ensuring that, you know, you're not putting in that time. You're not willing to go and make sure that hand doesn't get fucking shaken. Right. And creating those boundaries, right? Like, and it is your resource. Like, you literally only have those two types of resources. And it's been like that since the dawn of time. And society nowadays wants to tell us, no, that's not true. Like, your resource is not pussy. What do you mean? We all want to get married, have kids. Doesn't matter what our fucking, you want to talk about sexual preferences. We still all want to get fucking married. Yeah. So we all want that individual that's with us. And so then what's the next resource is actually fucking, you know, being able to put food on the table. How do you do that nowadays? Is with money. Right. So then you'll compromise a lot of your integrity, which in turn draws you down. The one other thing that I really like is when you talk about the old trade way of the mustache. Yeah, I never knew that. I never knew that. Now everywhere I go, I try to give a fucking mustache here to people, and nobody wants to take that.
I did that recently at Chase Bank. We applied for a line of credit for the. In fact, we're still fucking waiting for their answer. Not that we give a fuck, but it's part of the formalities. So at one point, you know, I went inside of the bank and I said, the lady was, I know the lady was nice enough, and she's like, hey, you know, we may need additional collaterals and stuff like that. So I take a hair from my mustache and I put it on the table. I said, here's the collateral. She goes, I don't understand. I said, let me tell you the story. So the story is the following. My dad grew up in Iran, he had like 10 or 12 cousins, and all these guys were into Olympic weightlifting and as well as wrestling. Those were the two regional sports that they were practicing. And in fact, his uncle was the national champion of weightlifting. That's why I like that so much. So anyways, it's all these big guys with mustaches going around, and you know, this is like, I don't know, man, maybe 70 years ago, 60 years ago, whatever that is. And in town, even then, you could actually borrow money, and in exchange for money that you borrowed, you would give one hair from your mustache, because, you know, it represented your reputation as a man. Right. So imagine, you know, giving one hair of your mustache for 50,000, and the whole thing was about honor. That you're going to honor what you said you're going to do. That, hey, man, I need this money right now, but I will give you this money back in about 2 months, 3 months, whatever the agreement was. And your honor, the hair and the mustache, your honor and your reputation in that small town, you as a man, as a father of these 12 children, was on the line. So he told me that his uncle did that, and he got the money, and how he actually returned it on time. And that was something that he has witnessed as a kid. And that he was telling the story to years later to the place of his work. And a few months later, somebody came in and tried to borrow the money from the organization with the same concept. And basically was told to say, hey, bro, like it's 2000, you know, it's 2012, it's 2010 now. yeah, you're gonna have to sign some paperwork.
You got to put your
It's like,
signature
I need
down.
20,000. I'm gonna get yeah, different country, different time, and plus you don't have that reputation. But it's turned into that. But it's a very good thing that you brought up, because it exists. It exists today in 2022. It exists right now. It exists in Warrior Week. There are men right now that will tell me, or I will tell them, hey man, this in exchange of that, no contract, nothing. It exists. And that's the cultivation of this kind of honor system that Warrior Week is all about. Many people wonder what is the behind the scene curriculum on the training. Is honor. Is giving your mustache for $50,000 in a world where everybody's waiting with fucking knife and gun to fucking cut your throat and put a bullet in your fucking head. The minute you turn around. Years after that, they said they love you and they care for you. And we've seen it over and over and over. We don't see it over a period of a month. I mean, I've seen it over a period of fucking 9 years, man. 9 years, the cost of being alone. And I can tell you, it will cost you everything to not have loyalty. It will cost the man everything. It will cost him his family. It will cost him to addiction. It will cost him to suicide, to jail. It will cost him abandonment. It will be homeless. It will cost you everything to continue to operate at the level of the training that you've received by being dishonorable. And I guarantee you, the meaning of honor is not simply understood in a war zone. And last time that I checked, we are not in an active war zone. So where is honor today? Where is honor in brotherhood? Where is honor in fellowships? Where is honor in groups of men? Where is honor among men? Very rare. Very rare. And not too many people are going to fight for this, because it doesn't pay. It doesn't pay to fight for honor. Honor says no fucking interest.
Yeah.
I borrow money from you. Honor says, hey man, I borrow money from you. Like, I borrow money from you. Like, you charge me interest, that you violate the code of honor. Some say, oh, it's a law of God. I say it's a law of fucking honor. Honoring the friendship. Hey man, here's $50,000. So you give me back 55. Why?
Yeah.
Well, because I question the nature of the friendship. Now, with an institution, yeah, I don't have a relationship with an institution. I borrow money, I pay interest because I know it and I pay the interest. The interest goes to an institution. Institution from institution. And you know what? I'm not fucking borrowing the money. My bank account is borrowing. So it's one institution to another institution. I get that. But honor among men, very rare that you'll get anybody fight for that today.
And that goes back to why I bring up that story of the mustache, because the mustache to me it actually resembles the handshake. The fucking handshake is the mustache exchange. And when I shake someone's hand, that's an honorable moment. That's me saying, hey man, this is my fucking word. This is my integrity. This is who I am right here. You have me. And even like you do the Bahala, like it doesn't fucking matter. Like I'm giving it to you. How rare is that?
Very rare.
It doesn't exist anymore because, again, you have someone speaking about, wow, the more hands you shake, the more fucking people you talk to.
Your business grows.
Your business grows. And it's like, well, can you really honor every hand you shake? Do you know the hand you're shaking? And what's the research that you've done on the fucking hand you're shaking? What was the time and commitment that you've done with them? What have you gone through? What war have you technically gone through with them? What have you actually like experienced with them? What do you know about them? Do you even fucking know their kids' names?
Yeah.
Like,
how much time have you spent on your own time and on your own dime with them, as we were talking about? Like, where is the level of love and empathy and care and sympathy for that person demonstrated? So you know what? There's a difference between saying hello with your hand or a handshake. And again, this is not to punch the guy in his face and his context, although I will do it anyway, because that's bullshit. Because that's what he's fucking preaching. He's preaching marketing. He's preaching all connection. He's preaching all be on each other's podcasts, be on this, help each other, this and this and that. But, you know, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, because there are consequences in that you're not telling. There's due diligence that needs to take place, because when hell comes and when everything burns down, it all came down on your fucking advice to shake everybody's hand in order to grow your business. That advice is a very dangerous advice. So shut the fuck up.
Very dangerous advice. And that's really what it comes down to is being aware of your due diligence, right? Because that's the other ignorance where a lot of men, and we all did it, we all have done it, where we've been ignorant in the business that we get into, and there's something that happens in there where you get taken advantage of, or something gets rubbed the wrong way, and the paperwork's not right. There's always something in business, and it requires multiple fuck ups in the process.
Yeah.
But where we're at now, inside of Warrior Week, there's a different fucking animal in here. Yeah. There's a different camaraderie. There's a different fellowship. Like it's a different fucking being.
It is. And let me tell you, man, it's not perfect. Because if you think you found the perfect trainers, the perfect coaches, and the perfect association and perfect fellowship, you have, like, no, there is no fucking there is no perfect world. But there is something that is fought for here that is very rare on the outside, and that is an honor of a man. And we don't dilute it with an honor of a man and a woman and children. No. We honor that, because that's where it begins. Honor of a man. Because if you're not able to honor another man, you're not honoring your wife. You're definitely not fucking honoring your children. You're exposed inside of this question today. Do you know what honor means? And that could be the homework.
Yeah, absolutely. Like where today do you have honor? Where do you truly feel that you have honor, and where don't you have honor?
And where you don't have it actually overwrites where you have it.
Yeah, it takes it back. It almost is like that fucking saying, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and then you're not moving into the direction of the light. You're not moving into the direction of the actual honoring of the man you said you were going to be.
I cannot have honor and with my wife, and then in my business I steal, or I'm not compliant, or I do whatever the fuck I want to.
Yeah, same thing with like honor with your wife, but you don't have honor with God. It's easy to be like, God, hey, get me out of this one situation, help me find some money, get me in this right place, and then suddenly I'll go to church every fucking Sunday, and then suddenly you don't go.
And look, I'll be the first guy to say I'm guilty of that fucking dialogue. I don't know how many times where pain came in and I said, God, please get me out of this, and the next morning, like, oh, okay, well, God is now distant.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
This concept of literally in the Bible history, King Cyrus of Persia actually established freedom for the Jews to go back to Jerusalem. So if you want to know the actual source of the word freedom, it happened in the Bible with King Cyrus of Persia, and he is the one that invented the concept of freedom. Now, it wasn't him. He was being led by God. He wasn't a believer. He was just an instrument. But inside of that, the design and conception, intentions of God through King Cyrus, this is where freedom is created. You ask any Jewish people right now, they are forever grateful to King Cyrus. And obviously it's not King Cyrus as a man, but it's God that worked through King Cyrus. But inside of that, like he's mentioned 80 times in the book of Isaiah, in the Bible total. But as you look at it, he gives the people of Jerusalem, after 70 years, he gives them freedom to return from Egypt to Jerusalem. They go back in Jerusalem and they rebuilt, but they're discouraged. And with all the prophets coming in and encouraging them on the promises of God and the peace, and really begging with a shake hand. Imagine a prophet out there wanting to shake the hand of these people, begging to return to God. They keep getting distant from God. They built the temple, 100 years goes by, and they are more distant than ever from God. They are in a hollow religion, distance from God. The finances are shit. The politics is fucked up. They're being ruled by a king and an authority that comes from a foreign land. They are down to 150,000 people. It's like 1/6 of the amount that started migrating from Egypt. Things are fucking bad. Rings a ring, 2022, very fucking similar to 2022. And inside of that, they have a dialogue and they start coming up with these. This is all written in the book of Malachi. You can read this. There is all these accusations on God that, hey, God, if you don't care, why should I care? If you're not there, then I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to. This idea of distance. And this where this is the 170 years cultivated dishonorship in men. And that training till this day never stopped.
Yeah, we really forget the promise, right? We forget the promise even as a man to our kids, right? If you go back to this the idea of this relationship with God and this promise that he gives us, we know that if I come to him like a child and I'm like, Dad, you promised me that, hey man, if I did this, you would do it. You get joy from it. You get excited from it. Yeah. Same thing with our kid. Our kid comes and says, Dad, you promised me, you shook my hand on it. And you're like, well, son, I would do it, but I have to go to work. Oh, son. And I always talk about this because I still see that all the time. And you say it like it's easy for us to lie to or not hold or give lip service to our kid, like we talked about before. Yeah. But it comes down to, we think it's okay from that moment on that I don't have to hold my word. I don't have, this is not a promise that I have to hold to. And it's easy for us to be like, oh, I wash my hands of it. Yeah. I wash my hands of it. I haven't seen you in years. God, I don't really know that you exist. Or, you know what? My God exists this way versus your God exists that way.
Yeah, 100%. So bottom line, the story is this. The story is do not shake hands with everybody in order to grow your business. Take your time and know who you're shaking hands with. And the rest is written in God's provision book.
And that being said, we're going to go ahead and your action item is exactly what Coach was talking about in regards to where do you find yourself not actually holding the integrity line? Where do you find yourself not telling the truth? Where do you truly find yourself not being obedient to what you said you were going to do? Find one thing. And if you think you don't have one, you fucking have one with the alarm and the first thing in the morning alone. If you're hitting that fucking snooze button, like a lot of us do, you're fucking already starting the day with a lie. So don't tell yourself you're not fucking lying because you're still lying to yourself. And that's who you really lie to more than anybody else is yourself first. Thank you, Coach. If this resonated with you, be sure to check us out at warriorweeknow.com. We have hundreds of episodes on there. And then the same thing too, if you're wondering what really is behind the scenes and you want to get inside, fill out an application at warriorweek.com and then follow us on IG. Check us out. Coach, I can't say thank you enough.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you guys.
Quit on your wife, quit on your kids, quit on your desires. It's okay to be okay. Manually putting the fucking blindfold on yourself. Tonight, you're gonna find out what power is.